Hare Krishna, we'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. We are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 4 and wonderful episode of Dhruv Maharaj ended in the last section, last class. And in the last class, we heard how Dhruva, he attained the supreme destination. As that plane descended, he, first of all, he did his morning rituals, Solamala kiye ho apna. And then he offered obeisances to each and every devotee sage was present there. He circumambulated the plane, he worshipped the plane, and then he boarded. As he was boarding, Death personified came, begging, please leave your body. So Dhruva stepped on the head of Death personified and boarded the plane. And as he was going, he remembered his mother. And he was thinking that if I go alone, what will people say? Oh, Suniti, she gave the first instructions. How can Dhruva leave her behind? As he was thinking like this, because the pure devotee becomes as powerful as the Lord by the mercy of the Lord. So there was another plane sent for Suniti, and she was also there behind Dhruva. So that's how Narad Muni describes the whole story of Dhruv Maharaj. And then he describes he attained what was unattainable. He conquered the unconquerable Lord. And the Falashruti was given. And then at one point of time, Maitreya Muni says that Narad Muni described the austerities of Dhruva in the sacrifice performed by Prachetas. That creates a question in the mind of Vidurji. So in this chapter, 13th chapter, we'll be discussing today the description of descendants of Dhruv Maharaj. So in this chapter, one of the descendants of Dhruva was Anga Maharaj, and he gave birth to a son called as Vena. And because he was so very evil, Anga Maharaj became disgusted and left the kingdom. So all that will be described here. So Vidurji, after hearing about Dhruv Maharaj, he was very enlightened, very happy. And it is described that one word is used, Vidura became Prarudha Bhava, very, very enlightened in devotion. Prabhupada writes, Krishna Katha is so fascinating. Nobody becomes satisfied hearing Krishna Katha, and devotee becomes satisfied only by hearing Krishna Katha. That is interesting. Just like in the previous chapter, one of the chapters, Vidurji asked Maitreya, please speak more about Krishna. So Maitreya says, you must have heard a lot from your father, right? Who was the father of Vidur? Yes. Vyasdev. So He says, Paravaresham Bhagavan Vratani Shrutani me Vyasa Mukhada Bhikshnam Atripnumashulla Sukhavahanam Tesham Rite Krishna Katham Ritaughat. I have heard lots of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. बहुत सुना है, महाभारत बहुत सुना है. But I am not satisfied hearing all those things. I have heard from the mouth of Vyasdev a lot of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Shrutani me Vyas, but atripnuma. Those topics didn't satisfy me. So Maitreya says, well, you must have heard about Krishna also a lot. You are born in the family of Krishna. You must have heard a lot about Krishna. He says, who can be satisfied hearing about Krishna? I want to hear more about Krishna. Kastrupnuyat tirtha padobhidhana statreshu asuribhidedyamana yah karnanadim purushasya yato bhava pradamageha chinatti. Kastripnuyat. Who can be satisfied hearing about Krishna? What happens when we hear about Krishna? Geha rati chinatti. Attachment to the family life goes away. One becomes attached to Krishna. So Vidurji, he is never satisfied hearing about Krishna. Prabhupada writes, transcendental subject matter is so nice, no one becomes tired of hearing and speaking. So general conception is, people, when they come to temple, they, मतलब temple में आके 5 मिनट तो बैठना चाहिए, है ना? ज़्यादा नहीं बैठना चाहिए. When people they come and the students they come and they start spending more time, parents say इतनी देर मंदिर में क्या करते हैं? You just go, offer obeisances, and whatever you want you ask and come back. 5 मिनट में business over होता है मंदिर में जाने का. You spend whole day in temple. What do? So that's how Prabhupada writes, when we come in touch with Krishna, I think कितना temperature है उसका? 24. Okay. So when one starts hearing about Krishna, one wants to hear more about Krishna. Nobody becomes satisfied. In fact, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was once asked, you are releasing a magazine every month. Don't you think one day you will be exhausted with all the subjects? खत्म हो जाएगा ना, कितना है आपके पास? He said, I can release a magazine every minute. Who will read it? Just all the material topics every day. How many newspaper publications are there in India? 700. There are 80,000 newspaper publications in India on a daily basis. Itna sab hai. And people, just material world is 1/4. So much kachra is available. So many news channels are there. So many publications are there. So how much more is there in the spiritual world? Prabhupada writes, the chanting of Hare Krishna is what? Simply repetition of 3 words, Hare Krishna and Ram, but one can keep on chanting whole day. Nobody becomes satisfied, of course, after a certain level. शुरू में तो लोगों का मुंह दुख जाता है. प्रभुजी एक माला करके मुंह दुख गया, बस और नहीं कर सकते. But when we become, as they say, seasoned devotee, then we can keep on chanting. Will not be satisfied, will not be fatigued. Okay, so now in the previous chapter, because Narad Muni had told, okay, I told this, Maitreya told that Narad told about Dhruva in the sacrifice of Prachetas. Question, कौन है वो Prachetas? विदुर उवाच केते प्रचेतसो नाम कस्यापत्यानि सुव्रत कस्यान्ववाय प्रख्याताः कुत्र वा सत्रमासत. So Vidurji is now inquiring, kasya apatyani kete pracetaso. Who are these prachetas? Kasya apatya, whose sons are they? Kasya anvavaye, which family did they belong? Kutrava satram, where did they perform the sacrifice? So you are saying that they performed the sacrifice and Narad Muni told them about Dhruva. This creates such a wonderful questions, because they are alert. They are not thinking, Vidurji is not thinking, खत्म हो गया, हरी बोल. No, he is very alert. आगे क्या है? I am not satisfied. I want to hear more. So he continues that Narad was a great devotee he was the greatest of all devotees. He wrote Pancharatra Vidhi, and Prabhupada writes, what is Bhagavat Vidhi and what is Pancharatra Vidhi? So Pancharatra Vidhi is the method of worshipping the Lord in the temple, deity worship. And Bhagavat Vidhi is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, all the Navavidha Bhakti. So Prabhupada writes, the Krishna consciousness movement accepts both processes simultaneously. We perform Bhagavat Vidhi also and Pancharatra Vidhi also. Why? What is the need of Pancharatra Vidhi? Yuga Dharma, Kali Yuga Dharma, Krishna Nama Sankirtan. So what is the need of any other things? Because Prabhupada said, I have incorporated so many different activities because you all are so restless. You cannot sit at one place and chant. So I have to think how to keep you engaged. So that's why Prabhupada incorporated this Pancharatra Vidhi also, because this is very, very purifying, easy way to get absorbed in when we are worshipping the deity of the Lord. So he continues that all the Prachetas, they were executing rituals and sacrificial ceremonies, and Narada described about the transcendental qualities of Dhruva. So please tell me about that. So just to give a background of what is this, who are these Prachetas, we know something. So they are sons of Prachina Barhi. Prachina Barhi is one of the kings in the family of Dhruva. So Prachina Barhi, his sons, there were 10 sons. They are all collectively called as Prachetas. So they went to do tapasya. On the way, they met Shiva. This story comes in the 4th canto. It will come in the 4th canto in great detail. On the way, they meet Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva comes automatically on his own. इतना तपस्या करना पड़ता है शिव जी को प्रसन्न करने के लिए, अपने आप यहाँ पे शिव जी आ गए. So why Shivji appears there automatically? Because Shiva is very pleased with the devotees of the Lord. He himself tells, Yah param brahmasa sakshat triguna jiva sangitat bhagavantam vasudeva prapanna sa priyosim. Whoever is Bhagavanta Vasudeva Prapanna, whoever is surrendered to Lord Vasudeva, that person is dear to me. So Lord Shiva told all of them Rudra Gita, how to worship Lord Vishnu. They went, they entered the lake, they did tapasya for thousands of years underwater. And then Lord Vishnu appeared, gave darshan. They came out, then they saw that entire land was covered with forests because there was nobody to control the trees from growing. Prachetas were the kings, no controller. So the trees covered the entire planet. They became very angry. They started burning all the trees by the fire coming from their eyes. So who is the devata for the vegetation? Moon god. Chandradev. Chandradev comes. And he pacifies Prachetas. And Prachetas, they stop burning. Moon god gives one beautiful wife, Marisha. So they all 9 marries one lady, Marisha. And that's how they live their life. They rule the kingdom, and then at proper time they renounce the kingdom. They go to the forest, and there they meet a sage called as Jabali. So Jabali Rishi, one of the famous sages. So Jabali Rishi taught them Ashtanga Yoga. They were performing Ashtanga Yoga. There Narad Muni came. Narad Muni is such a wonderful personality. He never gets tired doing follow-up. सब कुछ फॉलोअप से होता है, मतलब कहीं पे भी फॉलोअप के बिना कुछ नहीं होता है ना, स्पेशली व्हेन इट कम्स टू प्रीचिंग. प्रभु जी आ रहे हैं ना, माता जी आ रहे हैं, अरे लास्ट वीक दिखे नहीं, क्या हो गया, फॉलो. So Narad Muni is thinking, अरे ये प्रचेतास they please the Supreme Lord, why they are doing Ashtanga Yoga? That time Narad Muni again came. He taught them Bhakti Yoga. And that time he told all of these about Dhruva Maharaj. So that is the story. So Prabhupada writes, Narad Muni describes the qualities of the Lord and his devotees. The great Narad Muni's mission is to broadcast the devotional service of the Lord. So basically, Pancharatra, Narad Pancharatra, which Narad Muni has written, describes how everyone, wherever he may be, can practice devotional service. That is called as Varnashram. Wherever you are, you can practice devotional service. As Chaitanya Charan makes a very wonderful statement. From your place, at your pace, join the race to receive the grace. So that is Varnashram. Wherever you are, you can try to please Krishna. So Narad Muni describes that. Okay, now they ask more. He asks more. Yasta devarshina tatra वर्णिता भगवत कथा मह्यम शुश्रूषवे ब्रह्मन् कार्त्स्नेना चष्टुमर्हसि. So my dear Brahmana, how did Yasta Devarshina, that Devarshi Narad, how did he glorify the Supreme Lord? Varnita Bhagavat Katha, how did he glorify? Mahyam Shushrushave, I am eager to hear. This is a key word. Why you should tell me? I am eager. Shushrushave. So there is a wonderful relation between the speaker, the audience, and the subject matter. In the first canto also, the sages of Naimisharanya, they tell Suta Goswami, please speak about Krishna because you are a great devotee. We are eager to hear and we are discussing Krishna Katha. Tanno bhavan vai bhagavat pradhano mahattamaikanta parayanasya harerudaram charitam vishuddham shushrushatam no vitanotu viddham. Tanno bhavan. Bhavan means aap. Tvam means tum. Bhavan, respectable address. Tanno Bhavan vai. Oh, Suta Goswami, you are Bhagavat Pradhan, you are a great devotee of the Lord. And you are devoted to Supreme Lord, Parayanasya. And we are discussing Hari Katha, which is Udar, very magnanimous. What is magnanimous in Hari Katha? Anyone can hear and get benefited. Hare Udaram Charitam Vishuddham, it purifies the heart. And we are eager to hear Shushrushatam. So he is also saying here, Mahyam Shushrushave. I am eager to hear. Eagerness is the price to pay. We have to pay. If we want some taste for bhakti, we have to be eager. Eager to hear, eager to chant, eager to do seva, whatever. Eagerness. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Bhaktya Loka. Bhaktya Loka is a commentary written on first 4 verses of Nectar of Instruction. Nectar of Instruction. So Bhaktya Lok in that, in the 3rd verse is Utsaha. Utsaha Nishchay Dhairya. He says, enthusiasm is the life of Shraddha. We want to increase our faith. Sometimes faith is, very, very less. Sometimes it is dead. How to give life to Shraddha? Being enthusiastic. Enthusiastic to hear, enthusiastic to serve, whatever we are doing. Enthusiasm. Even if we have no enthusiasm, act enthusiastic. Even if you are not feeling enthusiastic, act enthusiastic. Just like Dwarkavasis, they were seeing Krishna every day. But still, they were so very eager. Roj Krishna aa hi rahe hain. Every day he would come out of the palace, he would go to Sudharma assembly, and all the Dwarkavasis are seeing Krishna every day. But nobody thinks, Roj dekh rahe hain. No. Nityam nirikshamananam yadapi dwarakaukasam na vitripyanti. Still they were not satisfied. Roj dekh rahe hain, nityam nirikshamananam. That's the beauty of Krishna. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. We are not feeling like that because we are not so much connected as of now. Prabhupada writes, What Vidura was anxious to hear from Maitreya, we can also hear 5,000 years later, provided we are very eager. If we are eager, we can also hear the same description, just like Parikshit Maharaj. मतलब उनको नहीं मालूम होगा क्या? She is hearing whole Bhagavatam. He knew everything. We have spent few years in Krishna consciousness and we know where is what in Bhagavatam. परीक्षित महाराज बचपन से बाल क्रीडन कई क्रीडन कृष्ण क्रीडाम यादते. He was playing with the dolls of Krishna. He was not knowing. But when Shukdev Goswami was explaining, oh, Putana is entering Gokul. Sakhechari ekadotpatya Putana balaghatini yoshitva mayatmanam pravishat kamacharini. Oh, Khechari is entering Gokul. Parikshit Maharaj becomes anxious. अब क्या होगा? कृष्ण को कौन बचाएगा? So he doesn't know. He knows. But he is there in the past time. So Shukdev Goswami also senses the anxiety in the face of Parikshit. So he says, don't worry. Wherever the names of Krishna is there, there can be no danger. What to speak of if Krishna is himself there? Nayatra shravanadini rakshoghnani swakarmasu urvanti satvatam bhartur yatu dhanasya tatrahi. So there will be no effect of all these witch and yatudhani and ghosts. Don't worry, Parikshit Maharaj. So he is very anxious to hear. So now, in response to this, because the Prachetas, they come in the dynasty of Dhruva. So Maitreya Muni starts describing the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj. He says Dhruva, before he retired, he had two sons. And two sons were Utkal and Vatsar. Two wives, two sons, Utkal and Vatsar. So Utkal, he was a detached personality. He was not at all interested in spiritual, all this throne and the kingly business. He was already a Virakta sage. Sa janmopashantatma janmano nissanga samadarshanaha dadarsha loke vitatam atmanam lokam atmani. Sa janmanopashantatma, from the birth itself, he was fully satisfied, unattached, nissanga. No, which
in Bhagavatam sometimes comes no as connection in Krishna's past.
I'm not sure which. I don't remember. So he is from birth, he's son of Dhruva, very satisfied, just like it is described about how Narad Muni is this previous life, completely detached, not at all interested in playing, just like Prahlad. Krishna graha grihitatma nyasta kridanako balo jadvat tan manastaya Krishna graha grihitatma naveda jagad idrisham न्यस्त क्रीडन को खेलने में कोई इंटरेस्ट ही नहीं. जड़वत, he would behave as if कुछ पता ही नहीं चल रहा है, just like small children, they are dumb, dull, so he would behave like that. But he was possessed by which planet? किसी को राहु लग जाता है, किसी को शनि का ग्रह लग जाता है. He was haunted by Krishna planet. Krishna graha grihitatma. All the other planets, they go in some time. शनि का 7.5 साल बोलते हैं. ये कृष्ण ग्रह आता है तो जाता नहीं है. कृष्ण ग्रह गृहीतात्मा. So that's how this boy was. Utkal, from birth, he was like that. So Prabhupada writes, he was actually Mahabhagavat. He was having no attachments, no wants, no lamentation. Na shochati, na kankshati. Shochati matlab सोचता नहीं, ऐसा नहीं. Shochati matlab no desires, no lamentation, no desires, hankering and lamentation. Vihaya kaman yah sarvan, gives up all the desire for sense gratification. That was this Utkal Maharaj, small boy Utkal. So Utkal, voluntarily, he appeared to be like a madman. That's how all the enlightened sages, souls, they behave. Any other examples? Jada Bharat, he was behaving as if matlab, his father would teach him that you should, go to washroom and respond to nature's call and then wash your hands. He would do ulta. Purposefully, he would do everything ulta only, so that कोई मुझे बोले नहीं कुछ करने के लिए, I'll get entangled again. So he was purposely behaving like a fool, dumb, blind, deaf. And those who were less intelligent, they could not understand that he is a great realized soul. So Prabhupada writes, even the preachers avoid opposing elements who are unfavorably disposed towards spiritual life. There are 4 ways a Madhyam Adhikari should deal with other people, 4 types of people. Ishware, Prem, Tadadhineshu, Maitri, Balisheshu, Kripa, Vishatsu, Upeksha. Love Krishna, make friends with devotees, show mercy to the innocent, and neglect the envious. What is this neglect? If somebody is envious, उधर से आ रहा है तो इधर से रास्ता टर्न, देखना भी नहीं. What is envious? What is neglecting? Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Jaiva Dharma, what is actually all these things? He describes in great detail. What is neglect? Not that you don't talk to that person. Ye to pakka an envious person. I will never talk to this person. No. He says, in fact, a devotee is the first person to help that person if he is in need. So what we should neglect?
Arguments, debates.
Yeah.
Neglected bad qualities.
Association.
We should avoid getting into any spiritual discussions with that person. Apart from that, we can be good friends with that person on a material level. We should help that person. When you meet that person, talk about his family, kya chal raha hai, sab theek hai, health is okay, all well, business is okay. But if he says, no, but you go to temple and you follow this, that I don't want to talk with you. Neglect that. Otherwise, a devotee should be very, very, cordial and friendly towards everyone. That is neglect.
But then how is he going to help him?
Who?
Spiritually, how is he going to?
He will not listen to you. We can't help that envious person. So what we have to do is, how to bring him close to Krishna? Just be friendly with them. In that way, he will think good about a devotee at least. Because he will not talk anything about God. He will speak all wrong things. He will blaspheme Krishna and devotees of Krishna. So don't talk any of these things with that person. Just give a good experience as a good person. In that way, he will appreciate the person, not a devotee. And that way, he'll get some sukriti. So that's how a devotee should be very, very careful.
Accepting him the way he is, then he will accept the way we are.
Yeah, accepting the way, whatever good things he is doing, just appreciate him for that and help him if needed, but never ever engage in discussions, spiritual discussions. Your philosophy says this, हमारा तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है. You are following all foolish philosophy. No, we never discuss about all those things. As Krishna says, na buddhi vejam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidwan yukta samacharam. One should not disturb the faith of ignorant people. Just try to engage them at their level. So just if somebody is worshipping some devatas and not worshipping Krishna and Krishna devotee, ISKCON devotee, they're worshipping devata alpamedasam, less intelligent. We are more intelligent. Why are you less intelligent? You will never come to ISKCON. This has happened in some place, one place in Singapore. All the devotees, they said, हम तो हिंदू नहीं है भाई, ISKCON devotees. हम हिंदू नहीं है, हम तो सनातन धर्म पालन करते हैं. And they were blaspheming all the devatas and ये तो देवता पूजा करते हैं. There are many Hindus also, na? So all the other Hindu organizations, they complained the government that these ISKCON people are, blaspheming and criticizing us, ban them. So ISKCON is banned. Hmm. So that is how we have to be very careful how to avoid the envious people. So this Utkal, he was behaving like mad. So everybody was thinking, ठीक है, इनको तो अभी राजा बना नहीं सकते, what to do? So they made his younger brother, Vatsar. Vatsar was a son of Brahmi. So he was made the king. So Prabhupada writes, this is not an autocracy, it is monarchy. And monarchy means the king, the teachers and all the priestly class, they had the right to decide who will become the king. Not that इनका बेटा यही king बनना ही चाहिए. No, they had the power. So this is from Subodhini. It is describing how, Vatsar, he married Swarvithi. They had two sons, Pushparna and Tigma Ketu. Isha, two sons. Why it is written two sons? They had six sons. So then one of them, Pushparna, he married Prabha, and Prabha had three sons, Prata, Madhyan, Dinam, and Sayan. Prata, Sandhya, and Doper. Yeah, that's how it is. So we heard earlier also, right? Dharma married the 16 daughters of Prasuti, and everybody gave birth to some quality. So then similarly. So then this Vyushta married Pushkarini, and they had a son, Sarvateja. Sarvateja married Akuti, another Akuti, not the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. They had one son, Chakshusha. Chakshush became the sixth Manvantar. Manu in the sixth Manvantar, previous Chakshush. Chakshush married Nadwala. They had 12 sons. Out of them, last one was Ulmuka. He married Pushkarini. They had 6 sons. One of them was, eldest was Anga Maharaj. Anga Maharaj married Sunitha. Sunitha was a daughter of death personified. And they gave birth to a son, Vena, who was very crooked. And seeing this crooked son, Anga Maharaj was very disappointed. And out of disgust, he left home. He went to the forest. And then Maitreya says, my dear Vidurji, Vena became the king because Anga was not there. They had to make somebody king. So only Vena was there. The sages made the Vena king. And then Vena, he started behaving in a very, very wrong way, whimsical way. The sages cursed him. And then after he died, there was no king, and all the rogues and all the thieves, they started increasing in number. And then the sages, they started thinking what to do. So they churned the hands of Vena, and there appeared, who appeared? Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj is the avatar of the Supreme Lord. In 2 verses, Maitreya Muni completed the entire pastime. Finished. That's how, sometimes speakers, they leave some portions. They want to see if the audience want to hear more. नहीं तो wind up करेंगे जल्दी जल्दी. If nobody asks, ठीक है, we'll go ahead. That's how, we are tested. We are tested in 3 things in our life. In our devotional life, 3 things will be tested in. First, will be tested in our Siddhanta. Have we understood the philosophy? Just like Shukdev Goswami tested Parikshit Maharaj. At the end of the 5th canto, 26 hells were described. And then in the beginning, Parikshit asked, how will these people get delivered? But Shukdev Goswami says, Prayashchit kar lenge na. They'll do Prayashchit. Parikshit says, that is like an elephant bathing. आज प्रायश्चित करेंगे, कल से नया अकाउंट शुरू करेंगे. What is this? And this is not good. So, just a minute, I'm just receiving a call. Just a minute. नहीं, पहले खत्म कर देते हैं. Okay. So, I was telling Shukdev Goswami, he spoke all the 26 hells, and Parikshit asked, प्रायश्चित कर लेंगे? सुखदेव गोस्वामी said, प्रायश्चित कर लो. He said, no, no, no. ऐसा कैसे होगा? It is like elephant bathing. He says, okay, practice jnana. तपसा ब्रह्मचर्येण शमेन दमेन च त्यागेन सत्व शौचाभ्याम, इतना सब करो. He said, no, no, it is like burning a forest. Next rainy season, again the forest will grow because the roots are still there. Then Shukdev Goswami says, only kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana. Then he accepted. सिद्धांत में कुछ कमी है क्या? सिद्धांत समझेंगे कुछ भी चलेगा. For some things, we should go to astrologer. Some things we should go to Krishna, but some things we have to take shelter of all these things. So have we understood the philosophy? Then in the 9th canto end, Shukdev Goswami also did the same thing. He described all the 90 chapters of Krishna Lila in 2 verses. In 2 verses, entire 10th canto over. So Parikshit Maharaj is thinking, wait a minute, I wanted to hear 90 chapters. आप तो 2 श्लोक में खत्म कर दिए. What is this? निवृत्त तर्षय रूपगीयमाना भवौषधा श्रोत्र मनोभिरामा कह उत्तम श्लोक गुणानुवादा पुमान विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात्. This is the 4th verse of the 10th canto, 1st chapter. Parikshit Maharaj is saying, this is the only medicine. Please speak more. Only animal or animal killer will not hear. I want to hear more. Eagerness is tested. So are we eager to hear more? Or we are thinking कब खत्म होगा और कब तक बोलेंगे और पता नहीं अभी कितना चलेगा? Are we eager? And then in the end of the 12th canto, even before ending Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami gives another googly. He ends the discussion by glorifying Jnana Marg. And then he leaves without even explaining it. Parikshit Maharaj didn't say, end में बोला ज्ञान तो ज्ञान practice करते. He still followed bhakti. So that time, loyalty to bhakti will be tested. और I think थोड़ा ज्ञान भी करना चाहिए, थोड़ा अष्टांग, थोड़ा कर्म. So all these things will be tested. So Maitreya Muni, he didn't speak everything. Just he spoke the whole Bhagavad, the whole story in 2 verses. And then he stopped. Vidur said, oh, how is this possible? Vidura uvacha tasya shila nidhe sadhor brahmanyasya mahatmanah ragya katham abhudushta prajayad vimanayayo tasya shila nidhe. Hare Anga Maharaj was the ocean of good qualities. He was gentle, he was humble, he had such high character, sadhu. Brahmanyasya, he was saintly. He was lover of Brahminical culture, Mahatmana. That king, how come Ragyam, Ragyaha, Katham Abhudushta? How can such a saintly king have a son who is dushta, who is so very sinful, cruel? Praja, and so much so that thoda bahut hua to chalta hai, so much so that he became completely indifferent. So how is it possible? So Prabhupada quotes a very interesting subhashit from Chanakya Pandit. He says there are 4 enemies in the family. Anyone knows? He says there are 4 enemies. Rinakarta pita shatru, mata cha vyabhicharani, रूपवती भार्या शत्रु पुत्र शत्रु अपंडितः. If the father is in debt, he is enemy. उसका आपको चुकाना पड़ेगा, बेटे को ही चुकाना है. And if mother has other relations, she is enemy. If wife is very beautiful, she is enemy. Why?
Everyone will be after her.
Not everyone. He'll be after her. He'll be attached to her. He'll not think about self-realization. And putra shatru apanditaha. अगर पुत्र मूर्ख है, he is enemy. He'll squander the entire wealth of the father. Srila Prabhupada would say, I didn't like my wife. I wanted to remarry. Prabhupada very frankly would tell his disciples, I was not so much happy when I was married, but his father was a pure devotee. He said, it is good that you don't like your wife. It will give you impetus to renounce. अच्छा हुआ नहीं तो फिर हम लोग यहाँ पे नहीं रहते थे. Okay. Prabhupada writes, when a family member becomes an enemy, it is very difficult to live in the family. किं वा महोवेण उद्दिश्य ब्रह्मदण्डम् अयुयुजन् दण्डव्रतधरे राज्ञी मुनयो धर्मकोविदाः. किं वा, how is it that the great sages who are Brahmadandam Ayuyujan, they knew the Brahminical culture, they were carrying Brahmadanda, means they knew Brahminical culture. And this king, so first of all, how these Brahmanas killed, and that too they killed a king who was carrying Dandavrata. King carries the rod of punishment. How can Brahmanas kill a king? So that is very, very difficult to understand. And so much so that the citizens, they should never disrespect the king, even if the king does something wrong. So how is it that? Because the king is always more influential. So how is it that all the citizens also disrespected and the sages, they killed him? So Prabhupada writes, if needed, the Brahmanas would dethrone the king or kill him without nor with any weapon. How they killed him? Just by hunkar. हुंकार वो बोल दिया होगा ये अच्छा आज नहीं है ऐसा कुछ. आजकल के श्राप नहीं लगते हैं, आजकल केवल आशीर्वाद लगता है ब्राह्मणों का or whatever. So these are the three things which they were not able to which Vidurji was not able to understand. First, how can a saintly king have a bad son? ये तो कैसे possible हो सकता है? You can switch off for some time, bro. And how did the intelligent sages, they acted in such a way that they killed Veda? How is it possible? And how is it that the citizens were not respecting Veda? Although he was not good king, but still, it is very difficult to understand. So I want to know all these things. Etadakhyahi me Brahman sunithatmaja cheshtitam Shraddhanaya bhaktaya tamparavara vittamaha. So etad akhyahi me Brahman, please explain. Akhyahi. Sunita atmaja cheshtitam, the activities of the son of Sunitha. Why you should tell me? You are para avara vittama. You know the past, present, and future. And I am faithful. I'll believe whatever you say. So this is the combination. A disciple should have faith in the words of the Guru, and the Guru should be well conversant with the scriptures. That is the best combination. So Prabhupada writes, by the mercy of Guru only one can achieve Krishna. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasada nagati kutopi. So he starts what happened. So he describes that this Anga Maharaj, once upon a time, he performed a yajna. And he performed Ashwamedh yajna. And it was very nicely performed. All the devatas were invited by mantras. All the priests, they were performing these sacrifice. But after the sacrifice was done, the priests, they informed the king, "O king, we are performing this sacrifice nicely. We are offering all the mantras. We are putting all the oblations properly. But despite of all our efforts, the demigods are not accepting it. We don't know what is the problem." So Prabhupada writes, in the previous times, devatas would personally come and participate. But in Kali Yuga, there are no powerful brahmanas who can invite devatas. 5 things are prohibited in Kali Yuga. What are they? Ashwamedham, Gavalambam Sanyasam Palapaitrikam Devarena Sutotpattim Kalau Pancha Vivarjayet. Offering horses in sacrifice, offering cows in sacrifice, offering meat to the ancestors, begetting child from the husband's brother, and sannyas. So this sannyas is Mayavadi sannyas. Mayavad sannyas is not accepted. So because there are no powerful brahmanas who can revive the animals back to life, because all those sacrifices in which the animals are sacrificed, the animals were given a new body, and especially a human body. Nowadays, nobody has that power. So therefore, all these sacrifices are not sanctioned. So they are saying all these devatas are not accepting the oblations, and we are not able to find any reason. But then the king, he said, please tell me if I have done any offenses in this life or in the past life. That's why these devatas are not coming. Please tell me. Sages said, well, O king, in this life you have not performed any sin. But in the past life, for some sin you have done in the past life, you don't have a son. And because you don't have son, therefore the devatas are not coming. So because that is the duty of the king to give son. So Prabhupada writes, Putrahinam griham shunyam. If there is no progeny in the family, it is like a hellish life. So that is the purpose of family life. If parents beget child, then they become happy. So then they give a solution. Please worship the Supreme Lord. Please worship the Supreme Lord. You pray to the Lord. You perform the sacrifice. Will perform the sacrifice on your behalf, and then the Lord will give you a son. So then, as described, the king, he started a sacrifice. All the priests, they offered oblations. They prayed to the Lord. Lord appeared, and he gave a pot full of a very heavenly nectar called payasam. And King Anga gave this payasam to his wife. And it is described that King Anga is described as Udaradhi. He was very liberal. Why he was described as liberal? Because actually Sunita was not qualified to receive this payasam. But Anga, he was very magnanimous. That's why he gave this pot of nectar to his wife. And then as a result, the cruel son was born. He was so irreligious, so cruel, and he would kill his friends while playing. He would kill animals casually. And how he became so irreligious? Prabhupada writes. And actually the verse also says, the boy became greatly irreligious, taking the qualities of his maternal grandfather, Mrityu. So Prabhupada writes, generally the daughter receives the qualifications of her father and son acquires those of mother. So that is the general way the arrangement is. And Prabhupada writes, sometimes the Lord arranges for an unfortunate wife or a cruel son for his devotee. Why? To give him impetus for detachment. So that's how Lord functions in the life of his devotee is inconceivable. Nobody can understand. Even if you, just like Bhishma, he tells Pandavas, why all these problems came in your life? You never did anything wrong. Yatra dharma suto raja gadapani vrikodara krishno stri gandivam chapam surit krishna tato vipat. You had Yudhishthir, dharma personified. You had Arjuna, skill personified. You had Bhima, strength personified. You had Krishna. और क्या चाहिए अभी? ततो विपत. फिर भी प्रॉब्लम आया. क्यों? It is all time factor. Oh, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Sarvam Kal Kritam. And you know who is this time factor? The personality who is standing in front of you. Don't think he is your maternal cousin. यन्मन्यसे मातुलेयम सुरिन मित्रम प्रियतमम अकरोत् सचिवम दूतम सौरिदाथ अथ सारथी. Don't think he is your cousin, he is your messenger, he is your chariot driver. He is the supreme lord. एष वै भगवान साक्षात. इन्होंने नहीं किया है. So Yudhishthir may say, well, if he is the person who is doing, we should ask him, right? He'll tell us, we'll understand. He says, even if you ask him, he will not tell. And even if he tells you, you will not understand. Nobody can understand how Lord works in the life of his devotees. But the end result is always good. In between, बहुत problem होता है. Sometimes it is unbearable. But that's how Lord works for the benefit of his devotees. So Vena, he was so very cruel. When he would come out in the city, people would start running away. Here comes the Vena, run off, run away, otherwise he'll kill us also. They were very fearful. All the sages, Anang Maharaj, they tried to reform Vena by various means, but no use. So this King Anga, he was thinking, sunless people are so fortunate. They don't have to suffer the unbearable grief caused by a bad son. A bad son takes away the reputation, all the good qualities of the family, and it creates all irreligion and quarrel. All these sonless people are so fortunate. Prabhupada writes, it is said that a married couple must have a son, otherwise family life is void. But a son born without good qualities is as good as a blind eye. It is of no use and it just gives pain. So therefore, he is just lamenting. He says, which intelligent man will desire a son who has all the bad qualities? But then he says, actually, a bad son is better than a good son. Why? Because a good son creates attachment for home. Bad son creates detachment from home. So that's how this son, he is doing such a great benefit. I am getting detached. So thinking like this, King Anga Maharaj, he became indifferent. He left home in the middle of the night without telling anyone. And next morning, all these ministers and the citizens, they were searching, but they could not find this great king. They became very aggrieved. They came back. So that's how this chapter ends. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Like Draupadi was one wife between five Pandavas. Similarly, this
Yeah, correct. One wife. 10 prachetas, one wife. 10. Nine or 9?
9 Prabhuji.
9.
Just mentioned 9.
9 prachetas. 9 prachetas.
I have.
Yeah, maybe सोच रहा हूँ mostly 10th. I'll just find out.
That's the very first page. Still 9.
Anga became detached, but what about his wife?
And she was pakka attached to her son. मतलब even if Prabhupada says बेटा कितना भी गलत करे, mother never sees fault. कहाँ कुछ गलत किया है ना? कितना अच्छा तो है, देखो पता नहीं बुराई कैसे दिख जाती है मेरे बेटे में लोगों को. That's how mothers are. They can never see fault.
Gandhari was also like that.
No. She tried to correct him, Duryodhan, many times.
Dhundu ki is mother. Dhundukari. Dhundukari is.
Acha Dhundukari. And
And second question is, like you mentioned that Vyasdev only spent some time with his children. So because
आप इतना endeavor करके पूछ रहे हैं, मेरे को लग रहा है.
because we have always heard that he gave birth to his children. So is there any something where he spent this time with his children?
Of course, Vyasdev is a rishi. So he must have taught to his disciples also and to these 3 sons also. Of course.
Because we
मतलब who can be a better teacher than Vyasdev? He left, but he must have, given some education to his sons.
I'm not aware of the other two songs. One was Sukhdev Goswami, the other two ones.
Sir?
There are three ways.
नहीं, she's talking about Dhritarashtra and Vidurji. वो I have heard a lot from my father, Vyasdev. श्रुतानि में व्यास मुखाद अभीक्षणम, व्यास से बहुत सुना है, विदुर जी बोलते हैं. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Gaur Vilas.
Thank you.